Welcome back to the Stafford Ryegrass focus site. We're just near Penkridge in Staffordshire here. This trial is looking at ryegrass suppression and how we're using different crops and seed rates to suppress the ryegrass and hopefully reduce the reliance on chemicals. If we look in this first plot, this has had 4 litres of crystal and 5 litres of Defy pre-M, and then half of the plot, the right hand half of this plot, has had 0.6 litres of Axial Pro post-M, and that's doing a really good job. And if we look at the other side, which hasn't had the Axial post-M, it's still doing a reasonably good job. We have got the odd ryegrass plant just appearing in this, but generally where you've got a crop and a good strong pre-M, it's done a really good job on the ryegrass. We just take a look at the side now, which hasn't had the pre-emergence product on it. You really can see the difference in the control of ryegrass and wild oats actually. But if we look over to the side which has had the 4 litres of crystal and 5 litres of Defy, and then back over to the side which has had no pre-emergence product, there really is a world of difference, and you really wouldn't want that in your crop. And we've just moved to this side as well, because this half of this plot has had 0.6 litres of Axial Pro post-M, and you can see, apart from broadleaf weeds, there's not a lot of ryegrass on that side, so the Axial alone is doing a pretty good job. And if we look back this side, you can see to a line where the Axial was applied, and yeah, it's definitely worth getting your pre-M right, and if that fails, get a good dose of Axial Pro on to control your ryegrass. We're just going to have a quick look into the crop competition part of the trial. So this obviously has no crop in, and you can see with no pre-M, it's absolutely stuffed with the ryegrass. If we move into 100 seeds per metre squared of BAZOOKA, you can see where there's no pre-M, you're still getting a few heads in the plot coming through. It's reasonably thin as well, the crop this year. And if we move into 200 seeds per metre squared, you can see that crop competition, even though the crop is still thin, is really helping to shade out that the ryegrass and make sure that the weeds are suppressed out the way. And if we move into the 250 seeds per metre squared, so this is the grass weed rate, and you can see that's pretty clear of the odd head in there, but very little ryegrass at all. And if we move into a 6-row conventional, this is a funky plot, drilled at 325 seeds per metre squared. We've definitely got a bit more ryegrass in this plot. Generally the crops have been pretty thin this year, but you can definitely see that that's got more ryegrass in this plot than the 250 seeds of BAZOOKA. And if we move on to another 6-row, this is a stair. We still have a few heads and quite a few ryegrass heads in this plot. Then we move into the 2-row conventional. Yeah, we've still got plenty of ryegrass heads. This is Orwell. Then we move into LG FLYNN. Still got plenty of heads in there, and there's a big difference between that and the hybrids back earlier on. Then we move into 2 plots of wheat. This one is SKYSCRAPER, looking very short this year and very thin. You'd be pretty unhappy if that was the quality of your crop, but this year generally a lot of crops are looking like that. And finally we move into Gravity. We're hoping this with the bigger leaves would help to suppress a bit more, but generally these are all much the same with the 2-row conventionals, the winter wheat, and the 6-row conventional barleys compared to the 6-row hybrids. Here we have the residual pre-emergence trial. If we look into the first plot, this is the Untreated, and you can see it's absolutely stuffed with ryegrass, wild oats, meadowgrass in the bottom, but there's a good population of ryegrass in this first plot. Then if we move on to just the SUNFIRE plot, so this is just FLYNN, and you can see there's still a fair amount of ryegrass in this plot. A few wild oats again, but really it's not giving a great deal of control just from the FLYNN. Then if we move along into plot 3, this has had 3 litres of Defy pre-M, and as you can see it's done a much better job. There is still a bit of ryegrass in there. You can see a few heads still poking through the crop. And if we go into plot number 4, this has had 5 litres of Defy, And you can see that's really made a difference in control. There really is very little ryegrass poking through the top in this crop. And then finally, if we just look at this plot, which is AVADEX FACTOR, ignore the broadleaf weeds, and we can still see quite a few ryegrass heads in this plot. Certainly better than the FLYNN alone, but not quite as good as the Defy at 5 litres anyway, which is doing a fantastic job. If we just take a look in rep number 3 here, we can see the untreated plot. It's absolutely full of ryegrass still. And just so we can confirm what we saw earlier on, this plot is 5 litres of Defy. It's looking really nice and clean in there. And if we go down to plot 8, this is the Liberator plot, just FLYNN, sorry. And as you can see, there's still good levels of ryegrass in that plot, so it's not giving a great deal of control. Certainly better than the untreated, but not doing the full job as 5 litres of Defy is doing. So to summarise, the best advice we have from the data we've collected at this site this year is to grow a good healthy crop, which can always be a challenge, but use a 6-row hybrid variety at one of the higher seed rates, just to try and smother out those grass weeds, and also use a strong pream to help you early on with the fight against ryegrass. And any plants that do get through, use robust rates of Axial Pro at the correct time. Thanks for watching.